everyone, welcome to our 60th episode of Brew Talk with Mr.Beer. My name is Robert. I will be your host for today's show. As always, we appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in and watch us today. A little housekeeping before we get started. If you do enjoy today's episode, or if you've enjoyed any of our episodes in the past, please make sure to like, comment, or share them on whatever platform you're on, whatever platform, social media platform you can do on there. We post these on our blog page, which is good, where we have our written notes. So if you want to read what we're talking about, you can read them at mrbeer.com/blog. Also, all kinds of useful written articles on the blog page as well, and a little search bar in there so you can search some questions, find some things, all kinds of cool stuff like that. Obviously, they're on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and on Instagram. And please make sure to follow us on all of those social media channels, as we do appreciate it. Before I dive into our topic, if there's anything you guys want to see us talk about, shoot us a question, tag us in the Facebook post. If you're in the Mr.Beer Brewing Society Facebook group, tag myself or Zach or Ashley in the post. The best thing for us to do is if you have a question about why or what or how or something to do, just ask that question and tag us, and we can make a video about it. A lot of the topics I've been pulling lately are from posts I've seen in the Facebook group, so it's really cool to kind of see all that going on. So the topic is, and I'm surprised I haven't done this already, is the difference between carbonating and conditioning your homebrew. It's a question we get quite often. I mean, last guy, you can tell where one ends and the other begins. The truth is, you can't really tell. You can't really tell. They kind of happen at the same time for the first 2 weeks your beer is in the bottle. It's kind of doing the same thing. I mean, the whole process of kind of carbonating and conditioning beer in your bottle with priming sugar is called bottle conditioning. So that kind of lumps both those things together. So people ask you, do you keg your beer? No, you bottle condition your beer. So that's what you're doing to get, the conditioning and the CO2 in there. So we just like to break them out separately because it kind of just helps everyone understand what exactly is going on. There's a lot of new brewers, you just put, the yeast or the carb drops or sugar in there and you have no idea what's happening. We just tell you to wait and you just wait. So we try to explain it a little bit for you to kind of help you understand, when carbonating is going on, then when conditioning is going on, so you kind of figure out the differences between the two and what they actually do. So, based on our instructions, kind of what we do during the first 2 weeks, we call this kind of the carbonation phase, which is basically where the yeast is eating up the carbonation drops or the sugar and it's creating the CO2. This is what gives your beer that nice layer of foam on top, which we all enjoy, and it also adds those nice little bubbles in your beer, which is really cool. Another thing that carbonation does is that it helps kind of all the flavors and the aromatics of the beer really come together and kind of really mesh really well together. We always tell you to obviously taste your flat beer before you bottle it. So I'm sure as you remember, you tasted your flat beer and then later you taste your carbonated beer, and there's quite a difference between how those taste, and that CO2 just adds a whole other complex and really brings everything together versus just drinking the flat beer, which is really, really cool. Now, kind of once you get past the first 2 weeks, you can drink your beer at that point. So depending on what beer you're brewing, some of our standard refills, some of our lighter recipes, you can throw one in the fridge and try it out. That's why all of our Brewmasters tips, we always tell you about conditioning your beer for longer. So you carbonate your beer for 2 weeks, you can toss one in the fridge, see if you like it. If there's something about it you don't like, let it sit longer. This is what conditioning is. Just like with wine, beer will get better with age for the most part. And what that does obviously is it helps mellow out some of those harsh flavors. So if you got big stouts, big beers, high ABV beers, those will kind of mellow out a little bit. So those 10, 12% stouts will mellow out and kind of get maltier and mesh all those flavors better together with longer conditioning. It's also great for cleaning up any off flavors. So at the end of 2 weeks, your carbonation, you try a bottle, and a lot of people will kind of sometimes, depending on your temperature, during fermentation, you'll get a green or kind of cidery taste to your beer. This will clean up with conditioning. So if you try that in your beer, and you try one, let the rest sit out conditioning for another 2 weeks, and it will clean up those flavors. So it's kind of a good way to kind of clean things up, help tie things together. I think it's one of the best things you can do for your beers, is to let them sit, let them get a little age. That's why you like to build up a brewing pipeline and doing all that stuff. One thing to note with conditioning is while it's good for like maltiness and all kinds of complex flavors to come together, if you're looking for big hop flavors and hop aromas and IPAs and stuff like that, that will dissipate over time. So over time, longer conditioning, you will lose some of that bitterness. You will lose some of the fragrance from the hops that you use. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're brewing your beers, when you're tasting your beers. And that's why we always recommend trying one at each week, because I think that's when you really know when a recipe hits, you know, its sweet spot is you'll taste it and it'll blow you away. That's going to wrap it up for today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. Hope you learned something. Also, I mentioned our Facebook group earlier. If you have not, please join our Facebook group, Mr. Beer's Brewing Society. We ask that you answer 3 questions. If you don't answer the 3, we won't let you in. It's pretty easy. Just answer them. We'll let you in. We just want to make sure that you're there to talk about Mr. Beer, talk about brewing in general, and just have a good, fun time. You can find us by searching Mr. Beer's Brewing Society on Facebook. Also, we got a big sale coming this weekend. If you guys a sneak peek, it will go live later today. Most of you, if you don't watch the video, you'll see it tomorrow morning. Awesome sale for all the awesome dads out there and all the dad brewers that are out there brewing up some amazing beer for their families. So that's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Drink some home brews, brew some beer, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.